Eric, how are you this week?
Good. It's an off week. It's Tuesday instead of Wednesday.
It is. We're recording early, and that's to maybe get ahead of the U.S. holiday at least. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I hope you're not seeing family for Thanksgiving.
I am totally going to see family for Thanksgiving over the comfort of a laptop and Zoom.
Wise man. Wise man.
My son informed me, and I wasn't aware of this. Apparently, Zoom is free for this week. So normally the free account can only do like a 40-minute long recording. Zoom is making the Thanksgiving week unlimited. So I imagine we will not be the only ones.
Huh. I wonder, well, they're probably going to have a lot lower traffic from work,
Yep.
not happening. Why not use the same bandwidth? I mean, presumably they're scaling, auto scaling, but, that reminds me of, this is like advertising. I don't know how you'd actually advertise this well, but how many lives could they estimate they will have saved by doing something like that?
Right.
Literally.
You can't advertise that, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think of that. I mean, no, this is kind of maybe morbid a little bit, but like when I donate blood, the Red Cross sends you a thing that says, you saved, 3 lives, up to 3 lives, I'm sure, or something like that. And
right. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. So save a life. Use a Zoom. Anyway, good for them. Good for them. No, I did not know. That's what they were doing. Yeah, we normally host Thanksgiving and Christmas because, we live out in the country and we've got critters. And so we just don't go out any place ever. and so, normally, if my parents or my in-laws, my mother-in-law at least, comes over, and we'll normally host a family or two, as well. Not this year. And actually we're kind of not wanting to go through a lot of the sort of rigmarole for a traditional Thanksgiving, dinner with a turkey and potatoes and
you're not doing turkey?
No.
What?
No.
Okay.
Our current plan is, assuming that it's not raining, it is to drive out to the coast, do a campfire, and cook hot dogs.
Hot dogs and
hot
s'mores
dogs
for
and
Thanksgiving.
S'mores for Thanksgiving. That's our current plan.
Okay.
So we figure, we could be thankful for that. I don't know. So if it is raining, then, or if it's raining out at the coast, then I don't know what we'll do. We'll stay in and do a movie marathon or something like that. But no. So yeah, because I mean, I think last Thanksgiving we had I think last Thanksgiving was a turkey that we had raised ourselves. So we kind of did the the whole make your own Thanksgiving, right? Our own green beans, our own corn, our own turkey, our own lots of stuff.
You pilgrim.
My recollection from last year was that you harangued me a little bit because I didn't have potatoes, and you were like, "No mashed potatoes? What? That doesn't
How
make
do
any
you
sense."
not have mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving?
I have some vague recollection of that, but no. So that's our plan: hot dogs. Yeah.
All right.
And
since there is only 4 of us and not enough for a whole big, I mean, we could have done the whole big turkey, but we just didn't want to. We just got a turkey breast, but I think it's actually a pack of 2 because it's 7 and some odd pounds of turkey, and it looks like the size of a frozen chicken. So I don't know what's in tomorrow we will thaw it out and figure out what's in there.
It could just be, that could be a single breast.
And just really, really big, or with the bone in, or something.
When we grew our own turkeys, remember, we wound up with 2 30-pound toms and 4 22-pound hens. And the 30-pound tops, those were so big. They barely fit in our oven. Like by millimeters on either side. It was pretty brutal.
Well, we are going to do, since we're not doing a whole turkey with the stuffing and everything else, we are going to be we're going to be experimental this Thanksgiving. We're going to try a sous vide turkey breast. I found a recipe, and if there are 2 breasts in this package, we'll try 2 different things and experiment with the sous vide in one and maybe something else with the other. So we shall see what we end up doing.
I would say with a 8-pound turkey breast, you could probably cut it in half and happily cook it 2 ways.
We'll figure it out.
That's funny. Yeah. No, I like turkey. I like turkey, but
you like hot dogs better.
There's a time and a place. I wouldn't say I like hot dogs.
Thanksgiving is not the time or place for turkey.
I wouldn't say I like the hot dogs better, but I do like hot dogs, and
I had them for lunch, so I can't. I have no comment there.
I was going to say the deliciousness per unit effort between the two of those is a couple orders of magnitude different. That's funny.
Oh, goodness.
That's good. So, how far in are you on the book?
Considering that's pretty much what I did this weekend, and I'm only 61% of the way into the book. It's chapter 62 I'm on. That either tells you how slow a reader I am or how big the book is. It's probably a combination of both.
A little bit of both. Okay, so I have no idea where I am there, but I think I'm past you there because I'm in part 5 already. So
okay,
I think it's the last part.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, I won't drop any hints, but it's I'm excited to finish reading it and then start the audiobook. Because I do so enjoy I don't remember their names, but the woman and the man that read the audiobook do such a great job of them. And they've done all the books to date. So,
Well, my plan is if I have to go drive out and pick up daughter number 1, another long road trip, I will get that audiobook because I will be by myself 12 hours one direction and then 12 hours back the other direction with her. So,
well, you won't have to worry. You won't have caught up to where you are reading even after 24 hours.
I know. It's 56 hours long audiobook or something.
It's pretty long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to drive to Florida. Oh, maybe not.
No.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Anything else fun this weekend?
Outside of the book, the only other thing, and potentially against my better judgment, I upgraded my laptop to Big Sur, despite the warnings that I was seeing online. And I am recording the podcast with Big Sur. So
my fingers are crossed.
Yeah. It'll be fine. But
Eric likes to run with scissors.
Yeah, there are some definite differences. I haven't spent any time really exploring it, but the UI is a lot. They've changed the UI quite a bit, and frustratingly, it seems to behave worse with my multiple monitors.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I've had it installed for 4 days now. 3 days. I think I did it Saturday. So, not very long. Anyways.
All right. Well, I am not that brave.
What was your weekend excitement? Fencing?
I put in the notes my swear router project. I don't know. Can nothing be easy? I swear. No, I think the problem, one of my problems, I have many problems, but one of my problems is that, and you should be able to relate to this because I know how you work and I know how you think. It is that this, like, I'm always trying to do stuff that I just don't know how to do. And when I don't know how to do it, it takes, 10 times as long as I think it's supposed to. Right? I'm like, oh, cool. I can do this. I know how to do this. So I was gonna, I wanted to start making some Christmas projects or some Christmas presents, and I bought myself, this is an excuse to buy myself something, is what this is in some way. So I guess, but I bought myself a dovetail jig from Rockler. And because I'm like,
this took an unexpected turn for me. I saw in the notes router project. I was thinking you were trying to mess with your
network. You're like network
router.
No, woodworking.
You're going. You're going hardware on me.
Sorry. Yes. This is not a network router. This is a a rotational router. I don't know what you. So I bought a woodworking router. No, so I bought a dovetail kit, not kit. What would you? A dovetail jig. Thank you. That is, it's basically, it lets you use a router to cut out the triangle thing, so you can put wood together, and it looks nice and super super well done. And I'm like, I've got a router. I can do this, and the kit supposedly had everything in it. I'm like, okay, awesome, well, cool. So I got it actually, I think a month and a half ago, or a couple months ago, and I just haven't. It hasn't bubbled to the top of my list. It was the sort of thing that I happened to be there. They had a super sale on it. I was like, ooh, there we go. That's what I'll do for some Christmas projects, and whatever. So I bought it. It had been in the box for a couple months. So I got it out, put it quote unquote together. Basically meant screwing it down to a workbench and, a couple little things. And then, proceeded to be completely stymied by my router because I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Here's the router bit. And I didn't read the packaging. Probably should have read the instructions. They are 8mm shank router bits. And the router that I expected to use for them is a 1/4-inch shank. And I didn't even know there was 8mm shanks. Clearly a European thing, I guess, because most things in the US are either 1/4-inch or 1/2-inch. And just FYI, 8mm does not fit in a 1/4-inch collet. So
okay.
I'm like, So I'm like, okay, well, can I just get a different collet which is basically, it's a pressure nut that screws on the end of the router. I'm like, well, 8mm could go in both deeper than that. I just need a different collet. At least so far, I haven't found it. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. The next thing, let me get to this. They've got this like little template that spacer that is supposed to screw on the bottom of the router plate. Oh, doesn't fit. I need a new router. I need a different router base plate. And I'm like, crap. Okay, so I Google around and I look on Amazon and I'm like, it's not obvious what I need to get for that. So I actually wound up going back down to Rockler this weekend, going, okay, what do I do for this and that and the other? And basically their thing is, oh, well, if you have that little palm router, we've got this kit that has the palm router and the plunge like adapter that that just fits into nicely, and that adapter has the right size plate to go on the bottom. And I'm like, I don't want another router. I just want the plunge thing. Can you buy that separately? No, evidently you cannot. And then I guess my third woodworking stymied thing that I was foolish about this weekend was it was semi-related because it was a jig that I was making to help make parts for Christmas presents. But I put some like an aluminum top rail in the jig, but it's supposed to slide out. It's basically a crosscut jig that's supposed to slide over the table saw. And I realized that the aluminum was going to go where the table saw like would actually cut through it. And that it was, if I actually cut through that, it was going to trigger my saw stop and like break it. Not break it, but break the brake at least. And I realized that I had to take the work that I had done and the $40 piece of aluminum, the extruded aluminum that I had bought to make this fancy jig, and be like, well, there's a $40 lesson. So I kind of had a frustrating weekend. I came in Sunday night and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm just going to read for a little bit because I tried to do all these things and I basically failed at all of them. I should have just sat and read for a few hours. I would have had a better time. But it's all good. It's learning. I'm learning things. Learning things is good.
Yep.
All right. I threw two things. Get to listen to me blabber on a little bit more here. I threw two things into follow-up. The first is a tweet by Steven Sinofsky, who used to work at Microsoft, about Apple Silicon and the M1. And this is follow-up because I think it was your Something Fun last week about how to run arbitrary apps. Even apps that the vendor flags as not to allow loading on the M1.
Right. Like an iPad or iPhone app that they said don't load on the Mac.
Exactly. So the pictures in this tweet are of Microsoft Office. I think it's PowerPoint running both or in three different ways, all on the same hardware and right next to each other. Right, you have three windows. This is so not confusing at all. You have three windows: a Chrome window running the web version of Office,
right?
A native window running the native app, and the iPad emulation running the iPad app. Or I guess it's not emulation, but the iPad app running. And the reason it's follow-up is because, of course, Microsoft says, no, you don't need to do the iPad app on the MacBooks because we have native apps there. But Steven Sinofsky loaded the IPA. He didn't say what technique he used to do it, but one of the ones that you mentioned last week, I'm sure. Anyway, I thought that was funny and cool. Although one of the other things I saw him say, I forget if it was in this thread or not, was that, this was possible in like 2012 with Windows running remember Windows RT? And they tried to do the, Well, speed matters. Speed matters. And, that also reminds me of a saying, like a venture capital kind of saying, early is the same as wrong. So, I think about that sometimes. It's not, history is replete with examples of, but, Microsoft did that 10 years ago, or, but that's the same thing that, this other company did in the 90s, think of, pets.com, right? Mm-hmm. What was what was the delivery? Webvan. Right? Webvan was trying to do, grocery deliveries in the year 2000, right? Yeah. Or shortly thereafter. And today we have every grocery store and their brother has either their own delivery or uses Instacart or something like that. And, Chewy.com is worth, they get bought for like several $1 billion or something like that. So, early is the same as wrong. Okay. The second follow-up is FBI warning of Ragnar Locker. And
Ragnarlok.
this is follow up because we even called the title not last episode but 2 episodes ago Ragnarlok or Ragnarlok. Sorry,
Which sidebar? We watched it.
Did you?
We watched it again. That was the other thing I did this weekend.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
It's a fun one, yeah.
It's such a good movie. I love it, and especially Ian Malcolm. What's his actual name?
Jeff Goldblum.
Sorry,
Jeff Goldblum.
Thank you, Jeff Goldblum. Sorry. Sorry. I love it. Anyway. What about this one? So I threw this in here mainly for follow up, not to dwell on it, but FBI has a confirmed Ragnar Locker attack from April 2020. The Bleeping Computer article we'll put in here has speculation as far as what company it actually was, with like a $11 million ransom. Wow. But so there was a flash alert sent to partners by the FBI just a couple days ago, as we're recording this at least, with indicators of compromise to guard against these. And then there was a comment in here. Let's see. The FBI first observed Ragnar Locker ransomware in April 2020 when unknown actors used it to encrypt a large corporation's files for an approximately $11 million ransom and threatened to release 10 terabytes of sensitive company data, the FBI says in the TLP White flash alert. Oh, ransomware is continuing. Just FYI.
My topic this week. Did you ever, back in the early days of the web, actually pay a web hosting company to host a website for you?
No.
Because if you had, you probably used this product called cPanel.
I remember hearing cPanel. I'm not sure I ever used it.
I had a couple websites in college that I was playing around with various buddies on trying to figure out the whole e-commerce thing. As you can tell that I'm still employed, it did not go well. Anyways, cPanel is a management tool for if you own websites that you're having a third-party host for you. The cPanel allows you to manage your website, the server settings. It's an account. It's a management type web host manager type thing. Well, apparently they had implemented two-factor authentication, which is a good thing, so that when you log into your account, you can set up your cPanel login to have a second factor. Unfortunately, a security company, Digital Defense, found a way to do a brute force attack that allowed them to bypass the two-factor authentication. Even if the two-factor was authenticated. And it's brute force attacks. Typically, you think of those as being very expensive, compute expensive, because you're basically just rolling through either a dictionary or something of something to just kind of keep pounding on the thing till it finally responds with a yes, this is correct. However, this one, it doesn't have the details, but said the attack really only required a couple minutes. But they had to have valid credentials for the target account. So they would have to have essentially phished the account. And I think the point there is kind of your selling factor of one of the selling points of 2FA or multi-factor authentication is if your username and password disappears, people still can't access your account because they don't have your second factor. They don't have one of your other factors. Well, if you can bypass the second factor, then you're just as vulnerable. So,
if the second factor was like 4 digits and a failed attempt or 2 or 3 didn't cause the account to lock or have some sort of exponential decay for retries, then it wouldn't take very long to run through 10,000 iterations of, if you have your valid username and password, 00000, yeah, right? I mean, how many URL or how many web requests, or how long does it take to make 10,000 web requests?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm totally speculating, but given the data that's there.
Yeah, it does not go into detail on the attack and the details. However, they did, disclose the incident to the cPanel team, in which they've already released patches. So if you are running websites and still using cPanel, which I have not seen it for years, and if you do depend on that, check and make sure they've released they've updated their software to the latest patches, so you would not be vulnerable to this attack. It's kind of a silly one, but given my penchant for all things two-factor, this one caught my eye this week.
Yeah. Hey, a minor update on the King household use. We're getting, I think, pretty good with, 1Password. My wife is she uses that a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot of things stored in the iOS keychain, but one thing that I had to learn was that, just FYI, if anybody else does this for a family, the shared vault. So, 1Password arranges things in vaults, right? But the shared vault, by default, you have a personal vault and you have a shared vault. And I was throwing everything in the shared vault when it was just my wife and I on the account.
Yep.
But then when I added the kids to the account, then I realized, they can access all my passwords.
I don't want to leave those in a shared account. Yeah. That's
not good. So now we have, each kid has their own private one, and there's a shared one. And then I made a parent one. And, so parents is where all of the stuff that I want,
Yep.
If something happened to me, all of my passwords and everything else are available in 1Password, and my wife can get access to them and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you need to set up a a different vault, and then you can control. Because that was the other trick. You can't actually edit the access controls on the shared account. It's a default.
Right. Yep.
It's a default account that's available to everyone. But you can create another vault and then go control the access controls to that, so that only, in my case, my wife and I have access to the passwords in the shared vault. So anyway,
yep.
But yeah, pretty good.
We do the same thing. We have a family shared, which is where things like the Netflix password, the Hulu password, the password to all the things the kids want sits. If it's a service where they don't get to use their own identity.
Right.
And when they ask me for, hey, Dad, where's the password? I say, it's in 1Password. Go find it. I use those kinds of passwords as a forcing function. You want to watch Netflix? There's where you log in.
Okay. Yeah. Ironically, the thing for me is that I have to keep my kids' 1Password password in 1Password notes, because they don't remember. They have forgotten a couple of times. And I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. I still...
Yeah.
It's okay. You're still...
I have had to reset the kids' passwords in the 1Password management console a couple times.
Yeah.
So...
It is what it is.
All right.
Okay, my topic. So I chose an MDM topic, kind of in honor of Eric, kind of. So this is, I guess, evidently I'm following government stuff this week. This is an NCSC UK post that says multiple actors are attempting to exploit a MobileIron vulnerability in the wild. So this is let me open this up in a new tab here. So MobileIron is a MDM, right? Mobile device. Sorry, I'm thinking data. Everything's data. Mobile device management system, right? So this is what your company, if you have a phone or a tablet or in some cases even a laptop that's managed by the company, they might use a mobile device management system to control security policies and install apps and install certificates and do other things to control and manage the the device. So and there's a number of these, but basically Apple and Android and Windows have released APIs, and I know you know this because you've been in this world, that allow that kind of specify what can be managed and provide the logistics and infrastructure for how to enroll a device into management, and then the APIs that can be called on it. And so third parties like MobileIron have created these MDM platforms that companies use and install that allow them to control then their fleet of hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of mobile devices. So, but the thing is that since MDMs, kind of by definition, are for managing mobile devices, those mobile devices are not going to be on your corporate network, right? They're going to be mobile. So that means that MDMs need to be internet facing because, the devices need to check in and say, hey, should I have any policy? And or the MDM needs to be able to send a push message and say, hey, I've got something new for you, that kind of thing. So the article here says this MobileIron remote code execution vulnerability is a target for APT, nation-state groups, and cyber criminals to compromise the networks of UK organizations. The main problem with that sentence is that they don't have a Z in organization, but they can spell things. They can spell things differently. It's okay. That's a joke. It's a joke. This joke. Aluminium. So there's a quote in here that says the NCSC. I should know what the NCSC stands for. National Cyber Security Center. Is aware that APT, or Advanced Persistent Threat, nation-state groups are actively attempting to exploit this vulnerability to compromise the networks of UK organizations. Now, they didn't say what organizations in this. I mean, the article's not that long, and it's not that deep. But there are links to other things in here, too. And there's also info. I mean, this came out or the patches for this were released in June. So, again, they don't say in here, but given the timing of that, this is the sort of thing that, when a patch is released, the bad actors can see what changed and kind of reverse it to figure out, so this is what the vulnerability might have been. So let me go create a proof of concept exploit against that and then use that to exploit all the devices that aren't good at patching or whose organizations haven't kept up with their patch cycle. So, it also says the CISA agency in the U.S. has also. I probably should have gotten that one and posted that link because there's a link here. The CISA though is saying that the APTs exploiting this vulnerability are also using it in combination with zero logon. So kind of exploit chaining to if they can get remote code execution. Then they can execute code on the MDM server. If they can then turn around and pivot and use zero logon to get to a domain controller or to authenticate to the domain controller, then they can get an escalation of privilege and exploit chain. So, or vulnerability chaining. This isn't something that the average person would have the power to quote unquote fix, but this is a IT security operations maybe running these servers in different groups, but it is important to maintain patching.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, I had a long ago, like weeks ago, follow-up. I was supposed to tell you that I don't worry, I patched my QNAP, but don't worry, I patched my QNAP long ago. It's probably time for me to look for
just in time for the next vulnerability.
I was going to say, there you go. Anyway. All right, so there was my follow-up, and then my topic this week were both kind of government-issued warnings. So go NCSC and CISA. And FBI.
Well, my something fun, and I have two of them. Because I have
Are they
one
really
something fun? And then my boy, right before we started recording, gave me the second one. So I got to give credit to my boy. Okay. But my first one is for all the youngins out there, booting from a vinyl record. So the vinyl record is this ancient piece of plastic that we used to get our music on. We didn't download it. We didn't. I used to have a bunch of. Are you
kidding me?
12-inch. Anyways, so some guy thought, what would be fun? Well, I'll just read the first paragraph because it's a great intro. Most PCs tend to boot from a primary media storage, be it a hard disk drive or a solid-state drive, or perhaps from a network, or, if all else fails, the USB stick or a boot DVD that comes to the rescue. Fun, eh? Boring. Why don't we try to boot from a record player for a change?
Oh my gosh.
And so it goes into great detail about how he actually did and how he had to pull it together and how he had to fix the amplifier, because, in the early days as well, tape drives, you used to be able to play stuff on your Commodore 64 with a cassette tape. You could save programs and load them from, by hitting play on a cassette tape. Also, for the youngins out there, there were these there was these things.
What's a tape? What's a tape?
Exactly. Anyways, I just thought it's not a really long article, but it's kind of cool. He goes through how he had to tweak things and fix things. He had to have a preamp fixed it. He had to have a specific preamp. He needed to get rid of all the pops and ticks that you normally hear in a record. He had to turn the treble way down and increase the bass. Anyways, so I just thought it was a cool, completely pointless, worthless measure, or completely pointless, worthless thing to do, but I loved it. So
that is
there you go, including a video. You can watch the video. You can watch the video.
Madness.
But the other thing that one of the funny things that I caught down in the comments was back in the early days of vinyl records and heavy metal, there was this thing that since the needle, you could spin the record in a different direction and play the music backwards. And I remember there was controversy that various bands made different phrases come out if you ran the record backwards. It's all goofy hoax, but running it backwards was supposed to do something. So one of the comments was, well, what happens if you play it backwards? And the answer, it loads Linux instead of awesome. DOS. This was doing free DOS. Anyways, I thought that was funny. There's a little bit of history. You have to be of a certain age to probably get this entire thing.
I'm not sure. It should load SOD, though. Sorry. Yeah.
All right. And then my second something fun. Did you see today at all about the mysterious monolith that was discovered in a remote section of Utah, the Utah desert, down by Canyonlands and Arches down between there?
No.
There's apparently a 10 to 12 foot silver square obelisk just planted in the middle of nowhere in Utah that was discovered by a flyover of a plane. Was it plane or helicopter? I don't remember off the top of my head now. But anyways, we'll link the article where you can go read about this, and the Utah Department of Public Safety has taken pictures and released pictures, but they have they have been very vague at the exact location because they don't want people to go swarm that kind of natural area and do something. But of course, when you give the internet a challenge like, we're not going to tell you where it is, the internet loads up this thing called Google Earth. And they found it. Within 24 hours, they found the exact location on Google Earth and have pinpointed it anyways for the rest of the world to see. But apparently, it's been there somewhere between late 2015, early 2016, because you can go back through history and check, the satellite footage. So it's been there for a while. It's just now apparently it got discovered. But I think, this was just today. So I imagine that over time, in the next week or so, we'll hear of other people who have been there, seen it, taken pictures, have pictures, but just it wasn't a big news story. Somehow 2020 has decided that this might be,
wow,
something fun.
While it is unclear who erected this monolith, the government agency noted it was illegal to install structures or art without authorization on federally managed public lands, no matter what planet you're from.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Oh, that is so funny.
Anyways, there you go. Those are my something funs.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I guess I got to follow that up with something. I'm not sure what I can do with that.
You have 4 something funs.
No, this is all kind of one. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it's all kind of one.
Okay.
This is started because there's a guy in the local bee club that is doing his own bee measurement system, and I'm like, and was like asking for volunteers to test it out. And I'm like, yes, me. And so I joined the Slack, was chatting around with him a little bit, seeing what he had done so far. And then, but there were 2 cool things that I thought about this. The first of which is this Kickstarter that was here from last year, basically. I mean, it was supposed to ship in December of 19, and I can't tell if it did or not, because you can't seem to buy it, but maybe you can. But it's called Beep, and this Beep base, will weigh the hives.
What's your scale?
It's a scale, and it's got a weight or a humidity and temperature sensor as well. Which, this other guy that I'm gonna kind of be a guinea pig for is doing something very similar, but super low cost. This other guy, but he's clearly and I don't know him well yet, at least, but he's clearly an EE, because when I joined the Slack, he's got his own custom board with all designed and laid out, and has had a couple runs made of it, and I'm like, okay, cool, good. But the second cool thing about this is something that I didn't know anything about. I don't know how I had missed it. LoRa, LoRa. Click on the Wikipedia link. So this is Wiki LoRa, long range, low power wide area network protocol developed by Semtech. But it uses license-free sub-gigahertz radio frequency bands for long-range transmissions more than 10 kilometers in rural areas with low power consumption. So basically, you need a gateway somewhere, within a few kilometers of wherever your hive's going to be, and the gateway will listen for the RF at super low bandwidth, but it doesn't take a lot of bandwidth to once an hour pump out, here's my weight, here's my temperature, and here's my humidity. And that then proxies that to the internet. So I thought, whoa. And the guy that, in his Slack, he was totally using this. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I didn't know anything about this. This solves the last mile problem, right? How do I get the data from way out in, the pasture?
The last 5 mile problem.
To the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And And then the third thing that I didn't realize before at all. So this is all kind of like one kind of cool something fun that I learned a bit is this TTN mapper. So I have some security questions about this, but evidently, so this is the Thing network. Have you seen this before?
I don't think I've seen TTN network. No. What is it?
They basically, if you have a LoRa gateway, you can register it with the Thing network because the gateways can hear anything that that's in those common spectrums. Right, yeah, if they hear anything, they'll just happily turn and forward it along to the if they hear anything they recognize, they'll happily forward it along to the Thing network, and you can then basically the idea seems to be, well, let me sprinkle these IoT devices wherever the heck I want, and if there's a LoRa gateway from the Thing network anywhere within range, it'll just it'll just automatically forward it up into one of these other cloud services. So usability, awesome. I know nothing about the security of this so far. It doesn't seem like you would necessarily want to do this.
Yeah, but you had asked me if I had heard of LoRa, and I said no, but I'm not sure what the context is. I actually have one of these LoRa antennas because I was working on a Raspberry Pi project where I was going to see how far you could to see if I could do a device that you would strap to a wrist that would just ping back when it got within a certain distance. If you put it in the car, I could tell the car was, close to home, as opposed as soon as the car left the 5-mile radius, or probably a lot shorter because of the hills around here, but whatever the radius was. It was one of my crazy ideas probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I think I got all the hardware for it on Adafruit, I think. So I think I have one of these LoRa antennas, or at least the chips. I keep staring over at my box of stuff, my little shelf of stuff.
Box of components.
Yeah, I'm thinking, wow. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So I'm not sure what I think LoRa is technically my fun thing tonight, because I didn't know I didn't know about that before, and I'm really happy to know that such a thing exists. But that's cool. There you go. That's kind of a muddy something fun, but this is what was on my mind a lot this week, and things that I've been kind of poking around a little bit at.
Well, yeah, because you were going to build a scale, a remote scale
I have the
all the parts,
load sensors already. I've got the Raspberry Pi. I mean, yeah, I've got I have a box of parts.
I have, yes. That's generally the story of my life with my Raspberry Pi projects is I have a box of parts.
Or 3. But yeah, so anyway, I'm curious. And if I can, basically this, at least for the testing, I don't know what it will wind up costing for real, but he's like, $30 covers the parts and he's going to put it together. I'm like, dude, I'm in.
That's right.
At least one, if not 2, or more. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know how it goes.
That'd be cool.
That'll be fun.
Alrighty. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Wash your hands. Wear your mask.
Do the things. Be nice to your neighbors.
Hey, and go rate the show. Go rate the show, please. There you go. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Rate the show.
In that order.
Yeah. If you're not going to do any one of those, don't rate the show. Do wear a mask. Do wash your hands. All right. Be well. Be safe. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.